What's up, guys? My name is Mike, and today we got DXM, so cough syrup, you know, the shit that makes you vomit, and then ROBO trip like crazy. Well, a lot of you have been asking for this video, so let's get into it. Okay, so first off, very quickly, let's get into the history. DXM was approved for sale by the FDA in 1958. This was 9 years after the patent was filed. It's a dissociative anesthetic, which basically means that in higher doses, it will be a hallucinogen, so it'll make things trippy. You'll have psychedelic effects from it. If you're sufficiently high, you'll be fucking good, dude. You'll be seeing aliens and all this stuff, the ROBO trip. It also coincidentally suppresses the cough reflex, so anybody with dry cough, they go to Walgreens or Walmart or wherever you want to go, and boom, it's OTC, so you're able to buy it. Now, it is 18 plus in some areas, so sometimes, not all the times, but sometimes the clerk will ask you for identification. So at that point, if you're 17 or under, what you do is you grab the syrup or the gel capsules and you just fucking run. You book it. You're like, fuck you, I'm out. I've actually had friends do that before. And no, don't do that. That's so stupid. There's a special type of person who drinks DXM a lot and they steal it and they're just zombies. They're zombies. We'll get into the warnings in just a little bit. But I just want to say that the only reason this is illegal over the counter is because it does a pretty damn well job of suppressing the cough. And that's about it. It's better than opiates, opioids, or any other more dangerous chemicals. And the government was like, well, shit, this is the lesser of the two evils, so here you go. Now, they did use to mix other stuff that was harmful. I remember back in the 90s, well, I don't remember, but I remember reading about it. Back in the 90s and early 2000s, the government decided, holy shit, yeah, let's not mix poisonous stuff in there, poisonous in higher doses, because a lot of people will still continue fucking drinking it. There's retards everywhere, and they're dying now. Holy fuck. So let's change it. And now we're into the cautions. This is probably one of the most important bits and pieces here. If you go to tripsit.me, here's the chart. You're able to look at all these various drug combinations. I want to start off with the fact that do not mix DXM with other dissociatives. Now, this isn't as harmful as the other stuff on this list. However, it's kind of like mixing two GABA agonists, for example, alcohol and Xanax together. It's not really a good mix. Like, you're able to survive, but, you know, it's a little bit dangerous. So don't be doing fucking like ketamine, MXC, and nitrous oxide, and DXM all together. Definitely don't do all four of them. Jesus Christ. But, yeah, don't mix DXM with alcohol. Do not mix if you take MAOIs. Basically, if you have taken any MOAIs, including stupid shit like Yohimbe, which you find in like diet pills, wait 2 to 3 weeks, depending on how much you've been taking, till you even try DXM. Because out of all the things on this list, MAOIs, basically they're the most dangerous to be mixing with DX. And they can lead to fatal consequences, so definitely do be wary of that. Do not mix it with GHB, GBL, opiates, opioids, SSRIs. If you're on them, get off of them for a couple days if you're able to. If you're not able to, I wouldn't recommend Dextromethorphan for you. And I wouldn't mix it with any other over-the-counters. Some people do Benadryl. No, that's stupid. Don't be getting high off of Benadryl. Like, if you're going to choose an OTC to get high off, I would much rather you do DXM than Benadryl, because Benadryl is almost certainly guaranteed to give you a nightmare trip. DXM after an MDMA come down, by the way, that is a horrible mix. That's about as smart as taking MDMA 2 days in a row, because your serotonin's really fucked. And DXM, even though it's not fully based on serotonin, like, it does affect serotonin levels. So after an MDMA come down, if you're sad and you decide to take DXM, you're going to be really sad after that. So I know people who have done it, and they were not very happy. Let's just say that. For boost in effects, what is really recommended is drinking grapefruit juice. So 16 fluid ounces, you'll be G, about 1 to 2 hours before you actually decide to drink the cough syrup or take the pills. It will make things a little bit more psychedelic, trippier, less of a body high, and, you know, it's just going to enhance the strength a little bit. Do not redose due to the dangers of Sigma. Now, we're going to get into the plateaus in Sigma in just a little bit, but Sigma is basically when you keep redosing DXM and then after multiple times, even maybe after twice or 3 times, you go into this weird, nightmarish, hellish, dark state, which is not pleasant. It's kind of like, it's not exactly like, but it's similar, in my opinion, to like a Benadryl trip where it's just like, it's a fucking nightmare. You don't, why would you want to do that to yourself? It's not pleasant. Now, with DXM, half the people who take DXM, or a little bit under half or whatever, they don't exactly say that it's a pleasant trip. It's just weird, strange, interesting. It's not for everybody. Some people are like, what the fuck? Like, this is so weird. I don't get it. I think it's worth a try at least once, but, more lower doses. So definitely do lower stuff. If you're a newbie, do Plateau 1 or Plateau 2. Don't be going Plateau 4 or Sigma or all this shit. Unless, ruining your body and your mind is your thing. I wouldn't recommend DXM for everybody, and please exercise caution with this. But, there's stupider stuff to be doing, like Benadryl, nutmeg, taking insane doses of LSD like I did. All right, so this is kind of going to be a longer video, and I know some of you are like, well, I don't really want to watch the whole video. Well, there's a lot of good information in here, which maybe if you're too lazy enough to watch the whole video, maybe the links in the description below might help you. But please be patient, motherfuckers, because I don't want to receive stupid messages like I have in the past before, where people are like, yeah, I don't know, I had a bad experience with DXM. Take all of this information into account and then use responsibly. So for the syrup, let's start off with that because that's most likely what you're going to get. Most people go for that. Personally, I always went for gel capsules. I didn't have much of an experience with DXM, but that's just what I did. There's 3 ways to ingest DXM. The most common is one syrup, then you got gel capsules, and then you have pure powder. Now there's 2 types of syrups. There's dextromethorphan hydrobromide, which is the one that you should be looking for, and there's dextromethorphan polysterics, which is Delsum. This is the one you should most likely avoid unless that's your thing. For all the doses and durations and all that stuff that we'll be talking about here, it's in relation to pure DXM. Now, some cough syrups mix in some bullshit, like remember how earlier I was talking about that, like guaifenesin or whatever the fuck that is. So you kind of want to avoid that. In high enough doses, it's just unpleasant. It'll make you feel nauseous. Also, if you're drinking a lot of syrup, some people drink 1 bottle, some people drink 2 bottles, some people drink more than 2 bottles. That is not good. Most likely you're going to have this weird purging. Some people think it's a spiritual purging. Yeah, you just got to clear out the bad vibes. Depending on which way you look at it, throwing up in a toilet isn't the most pleasant thing to do, so that's also another reason why I would recommend just doing gel caps or going with pure powder. But if you're too lazy for that, if you're still going to go with the syrup, well then understand that you might get nauseous and that might stick with you throughout the entire trip. So, although when you do vomit, it kind of goes away. Like you're not really feeling all that nauseous anymore. At least some people report that, which is good. By the way, for anybody thinking about taking this at parties, low doses, it's okay, but definitely don't do high doses. This is not a party drug. This is more like sit in a meditative K-hole state because you're disassociated. And if you're at a party, you're going to be like, so yeah, don't really do that. For syrup, dextromethorphan hydrobromide should be the only ingredient. Okay, so when you look at the back, that's the only fucking thing on there. Avoid guaf and all those other sugar additives because that's not good. Good syrups are Robitussin DX. Basically, if something says DX, you're good to go. Always check the back still though. If it says DM, that's usually a mix of things. Robitussin DX is also known as Cough Dry Forte. Off-brands or store brands are usually a little bit cheaper, and I've noticed that most of them are much better. Better by I mean there's more DXs than DMs. At least personally, that's what I found. My favorite brand was Welltussin just because it was cheaper. Now, here's the thing. Welltussin, the little cap gels, which I went for, didn't really have all this other bullshit. When I checked on the back, there was just dextromethorphan. The cough syrup, it's a little bit of a different story. It does have guaf in it. So, again, if you take Delsum syrup, it's going to have polysterics in it. And basically what DXMP is, it's a different type of DXM. Like, it's still the same shit, but it's wrapped up in these little time capsules or whatever. So it's kind of like the difference between XR and IR. Polysterics is like this extended release where it's just going to last longer. It takes longer for it to kick in as well. The after effects are a little bit shittier because you're going to be gone for like maybe 2 days even. And it may not be as strong, so you might need to drink more, which only is going to make nausea and all that worse. It's not really a recommended option. We're not going to talk too much about it because few people do it, but. All right, so let's get to the doses. A light dose is 100 to 200 milligrams. A common dose is 200 to 400. Strong 300 to 600. Heavy 600 to 1500, 1.5 grams. And there's a risk of death when you go above 2.2. Some people debate 2.2 to 2.5 grams. Definitely anything over that is weird fucky territory. Anything over 2 grams, be careful. Although with polysterics, you're able to take more, but just be careful with that. Just because you're able to take more, you still could fucking overdose and die. Basically, that's what Sigma is in certain cases. It is an overdose or plateau 5. DXM is a substance where it is based on how much you weigh. So depending on your weight, definitely check that out. There's links in the description below. It's going to tell you with the little charts, hey, if you add an extra 10 kilos, this is how much milliliters you should add. So do your research. Know exactly how much you're taking. Don't be like, oh, fuck, 1, 2, yeah, fuck it. Or like 30 gel caps. So here's the gel caps. Now, those are the doses for gel caps, which most likely a gel cap has 15. Or if you're taking powder for syrups, it's going to be a little bit different. So now we're going to get into the plateaus, which you're going to find out exactly how much to take in just a little bit. So this is in relation to a person who weighs 150 pounds or 75 kilos. To get to the first plateau with gel caps, you want to take 4 to 6. To get to second plateau, 6 to 18. Third is 18 to 37. Fourth is 38 or more. And fifth is basically death. So for the syrup, this is in relation to 3 milligrams per milliliter. Just to give you a little bit of an example, the Waltessen bottle that we were talking about earlier has 237 milliliters. So to get to the first plateau, you want to take 37 to 62 milliliters. Second is 62 to 187 milliliters. Third is 187 to 375 milliliters. Now this is getting pretty fucking heavy. Fourth plateau is 376 or over. So yeah, I would definitely not do fucking like 3 bottles of DXM. That's, The duration's 8 to 12 hours basically, with the come up being 60 to 120 minutes. So just give it like 2 hours and you'll definitely start feeling effect. The peak's gonna be like 3 to 6 hours and I hit the fucking table. And with syrups and all this, basically the after effects can be 4 to 24 fucking hours. So the more you take, the longer the after effects are gonna be there. Now this means if you take a lot, as in you drink 2 bottles, you could be tripping for a fucking day. For some people, that's not good because if you have school or work or whatever the next day, definitely don't be doing this. The safest thing to do with DXM is make sure you're in a good, safe setting. This is with all psychedelics, really, or any drugs. You know exactly what you're doing. Your head's in the right mindset. Maybe if you're taking high doses, have a trip sitter with you. Plan it out so you do it at the beginning of a weekend, not at the end. You do it when you have plenty of rest, you have lots of energy, you're not like tired and like, oh. With food, it's gonna actually affect your DXM trip. Depending on what you eat and your diets, you might want to check out how that works with DXM. For example, as we mentioned earlier, the little grapefruit juice, something as simple as that can make your trip a lot better experience. Fasting isn't really recommended right before DXM, although some people say to do that, but that actually supposedly makes it worse. You don't want to eat like a giant fucking meal because at that point, yeah, you're more likely to throw up and shit. Polysterics, by the way, can last 8 to 12 or 14 hours, so it's going to be a little bit longer. But where you see the duration is in the after effects. The after effects, so like with the onset and stuff, it's going to take longer. But with the after effects, it can last all the way up to 36 or so hours. So that's 1.5 days. You're going to be fucked out of it for 2 days. Trust me, I know people who've been fucked out of it for 2 days. They've just been zombie states. Or like, you're like, what the fuck? Like, is he dead? Is he dead? No, he's just dripping balls. Like, So briefly we'll get into what each plateau is like, but if you'd want to discover the full details, they kind of describe it on Arrowhead. So first plateau is kind of like this drunk state where I've tried this multiple times, and you take a little bit and you kind of feel retarded, drunk, wavy, heavier. It's kind of cool, makes music sound a little bit better. Second plateau, you'll feel a little bit trippier, and it's going to be a bit more difficult to communicate with people. You might experience some visual distortions and effects here at this point. If you close your eyes on the higher ends of the second plateau, you might see closed eye visuals, but that definitely does happen at plateau 3. So depending on the person, you might see some psychedelic stuff on plateau 2, but it's definitely going to be a little bit more heavier and fucked up than the first plateau. You're going to have way less control. Third plateau is basically robo tripping, where your body's slowed down, everything's kind of just slow motion. You're disassociated from your body, and you can't. First and second plateau, you can still interact with humans. Third plateau, what is a human? You're gone. For the next day, you're basically gone, or half day. Fourth plateau is basically like a K-hole. You're just stuck. You're kind of stuck. You're going to this meditative state. You're interacting with aliens and God and all this shit. Some people think they're the same. Aliens turned into God. God turns into aliens. You see different weird creatures. You're hallucinating hardcore. Closed eye visuals are insane. Everything's super trippy. You're just stuck in this position for like a long ass fucking time. And remember, fifth plateau is like fucking overdosing and dying. So, for the positive effects, here they are. I mean, DXM, some people like it. Not everybody's gonna like it. You know, there's the negative effects and also the neutral effects. A few from the positives is you might feel some slight euphoria. It's going to be cool that you see some trippy patterns. You know, if you're into spiritual woo-woo bullshit and higher plateaus, you might meet God, so that's cool. Music sounds a little bit better. If you like being disassociated, that can either be a positive or a negative for you. Some negatives are, well, you can't really control yourself. You might want to vomit, purge. You might start feeling really heavy on your body, and it's just going to be this unpleasant feeling. Depending on what you took, sometimes you might experience problems with breathing or irregular heartbeat or whatever. If you experience sigma, plateau sigma, that's basically the weird nightmarish hell dark thing that you're just stuck in for a little bit. You might think you're insane forever. It's kind of like a bad trip. Like, don't do that. Honestly, I would rather do ketamine any fucking day than DXM because of just the duration. Kind of like how I'm thinking more and more about the difference between LSD and shrooms. The main thing is just the duration. 3 to 4 hours is much better than 8 to 12 hours. Most people don't want to be tripping for that long. That's a negative effect. You're just fucked out of it. Some people enjoy that, but for most people, that's not good. I've had some experiences with DXM, and I know some people who really got addicted to DXM. So just watch out with addiction. You don't want to go too heavy with it. It kind of turns into a zombie, and you're not really going to be motivated, and you might feel depressed, and since it affects serotonin, you know, that's not going to be too good. It can fuck up certain body parts if you abuse it, so definitely don't abuse it. If you take it on the daily, don't fucking take it on the daily. What is recommended is, depending on how high of a plateau you went to, wait a week per plateau. So if you skipped all the way up to 4th plateau, give it another month, 4 weeks before you trip again. If you did 2, give it 2 weeks. That's the recommended thing for beginners. Again, start off slow and small. And what else can I say? Just be careful with it, guys. You can have some really fun and spiritual experiences with DXM, so I'm not saying it's a bad drug. It's a wonderful tool if you know how to use it right, but many people fall into this weird retarded state and they abuse it, they hate it, whatever. Also, the fact that it's over-the-counter illegal and some people are like stealing it from stores, that's, guys, if you're doing that right now, don't, please. It's so much easier to just fucking smoke weed. If you want to get high, just smoke weed. But if you're an experienced psychonaut or you really like disassociatives, this might be the thing for you. Personally, I don't like DXM. I don't hate it, but I just don't like it. I had a weird experience, and, you know, I just don't really like that weird state. Fuck that. Anyways, my name is Mike. Hopefully you enjoy this video. By the way, if you're in Poland, send me a message. Maybe we can meet up. Feeling a little lonely here. I will be live streaming every single day on YouNow and all that other shit, so definitely check me out on there. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, and share, as that does help out with the channel. We're approaching 14,000 subscribers. Ooh, baby, that's sexy. And tell me what you thought about this video. Peace!